It's a really complete wine for $24.95, I have to say, and very, very polished as well, which is something I've always felt about the Elderton range. They always seem there's an awful lot of care goes into the winemaking, it appears to me.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
well,
you.
the team really polished, and it obviously all starts in the vineyard. But we're trying to make wines which are approachable in release, and that's super important because most wine is consumed, within 48 hours of purchase. But if you really wanted to, even with that estate Shiraz, you could sell it for 15 years quite easily. And going back to our museum stock, some of these wines from the 90s are drinking so sublimely, and everything's soft and integrated. I'm not recommending that today. I'm recommending that the people who watch this interview actually go out and sort of drink a bottle today and then go out and buy another bottle tomorrow. Yeah. But yeah,
it's a better business model.
That balance is so important to us, and that polish is very important to us as well.
And
I think 2 points in winemaking, if I may. One is we make wines we like to drink, and we make wines that entice you to have a second sip or a second glass or a second bottle if the occasion demands it. I think the Barossa is often characterised as making these super big and rich, over-the-top Shirazes, and there is some of that, and the Barossa can do that style very, very well as well if that's what you're into. But our concept has always been get to the level and don't go over the top. Basically, like have great acidity in the wine, have great tannin management in the winery. But I think the other point, and I think it's largely been lost on so much of the world of fine wine, is a story that our dad used to tell us when we were little, that he said, if you look after your customers will look after you. And our pricing is always, I don't know, I shouldn't talk about it personally, but probably is better when it comes from other people, but there is a remarkable value in that wine and the wine to come as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having this later with dinner tonight, but I should probably move on to the next wine before I have too much during the interview. This next one is something quite different. This is the Ode to Lorraine, and this is the 2021, and this is Cabernet Sauvignon, Shiraz, and Merlot in a slightly different bottle shape as well, taller bottle. Taller Bordeaux. What's the story behind this one, and who, may I ask, is Lorraine?
So this is a beautiful story about our mother. So Lorraine, along with our dad Neil, co-founded Elderton. It was a 50-50 partnership, but it was one of those concepts that's quite often in life where there's a great woman that stands behind a good man that does more than her fair share of the work. But just doesn't like the accolades or the spotlight. She never did it for herself. She did it for my brother and I. And when I first came back into the business, we tried to make a wine and named it after Mum. And our issue then was that we told her about it, and she's too humble and too modest, and she said it's never going to happen. When Cam joined me in 2003, Mum's 60th birthday was coming up, and we decided we'd do it like our teenage years, where it was easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Right.
Okay. And we thought we'd throw a huge surprise party and unveil the Ode to Lorraine from 2002. That year, rename a wine. So we had the wine in production already. And Mum got wind of the party and came to us and said, listen, boys, I think you're up to something. She said, I don't celebrate my birthday anymore, and if you throw me a party, I'll write you out of my will. And we, of course, said, well, we don't want that, Mum, but you've never spent $1 on yourself. This is a marquee birthday, and if you don't do something amazing, we will throw you a party. So she found a good friend. They decided they'd go to New York for a couple of weeks, and we gave them our absolute blessing and said we'd organise their birthday dinner, or Mum's birthday dinner. We sent them to a 3-Michelin star restaurant place called Jean Georges, and Meryl Streep was dining in the restaurant that night, which got the girls pretty excited.
Of course, yeah.
And the song came over, took Mum through the wine list. Mum wanted to try some American wines because we don't see a lot of these in Australia, unfortunately. chose a Chardonnay from a producer in Oregon, and then he came back with the first ever bottle of that wine that you're trying and presented it to Mum and said, perhaps you'd rather drink this. Happy birthday, Lorraine.
Oh,
and
God.
as you can imagine, it was tears and laughter.
And you were both written out of the will, right?
We haven't found out yet, which is a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, about 10 minutes later, the anger had started to truly set in. But to show where Cam and I both get our love of wine from, or half of our love of wine, she had to call the song back and say, listen, this is great, but we still need that bottle of Chardonnay that we asked for, please.
Right.
And,
no,
but the wine itself is, I don't know, it's sort of the Barossa version of a Super Tuscan in many ways, in that we don't have indigenous grape varieties, but Shiraz is home here. And the concept of adding quite a bit of Cabernet and a little bit of Merlot to make more of an absolutely complete wine as something that has always been quite special to our family. So Mum and Dad first put this blend together in 1992, and it was just called Cabernet, Shiraz and Merlot in those days. They put it together to try and win Australia's biggest wine show accolade, which is the Jimmy Watson Trophy. They were doing it very tough in business, and they thought if they won this trophy, it would be amazing. And the remarkable story is it didn't win the trophy, but our straight Cabernet won it, and our straight Shiraz was the runner-up that year, and it just set Elderton on a path of success from there on in, basically.
Was that 1993?
That was, yes, for the 92 vintage Cabernet and Shiraz, exactly.
Very good, very good. And what can you tell me about the vinification on this particular one? It's, I mean, obviously a different cépage to the mono Shiraz, but there's it's quite a different wine for sure. And there's the oak character is quite different as well.
Yeah, definitely. So this is 100% sourced from our original vineyard here in Ode. Cabernet and Shiraz from very, very old vines, from 80 plus year old Shiraz and Cabernet vines. And it all our blocks on this property and all properties are all picked separately and made separately, go into barrel. So it gives us a lot of options when it comes to blending time. Typically speaking, we talk about, we begin the conversation about 60% Cab, 30% Shiraz, and 10% Merlot. And depending on season, it will change. Typically, if it's a little bit warmer, there might be a little bit more Shiraz, and if it's a little bit cooler, a little bit more Cabernet. But obviously, the oak difference is huge, because now we've switched to being predominantly French oak. Still large format, still puncheons, and this I think is about 40% new.
I was about to ask, because there is definitely that nice little hit of that immaculate French cooperage, and it works so well within this blend. It's incredibly well integrated. The tannins on this are silky smooth, and but it still has that like it has the structure that I would imagine this would be able to age for quite some time. What are your thoughts on that?
There's no doubt, Jamie, that wine would be up to age for quite a long time. 21 vintage was almost perfect. You know, it rained at the right time during the winter. It was quite sustained, and then the summer was sort of a little bit cooler, the ripening period. So you got just perfect natural acidity. And the Cabernet that year was just out of this world, and the silky tannins just shine through. The overall blend for that wine is, I think, 51% Cabernet, 45% Shiraz, and 4% Merlot. So as Al was saying before, you know, we decided just to put a little bit more Shiraz in, because the Shiraz just gave that mid-palate weight to it. And then you get that softness from the Merlot as well, which just makes it just a perfect drink to have.
A wine with this level of finesse and elegance and integration between the three grapes and the cooperage there, I think it needs a kind of elevated dish to accompany it. I mean, sure, you could have it with a very, very good lamb burger, but I think this is going for like something quite special at the dinner table. Where would you be going with this?
For me, it would be roast lamb with mint sauce. You know, that's the ultimate for me. But yeah, it goes well with most game as well.
You have quite a lot of sheep down in Australia, don't you?
We do.
I don't know how to answer that. Yeah, the answer is yes.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. That lamb would be where I would be going with this, and it's definitely Barossa Cabernet as well. There's no mistaking this from Coonawarra. There's like this is Barossa through and through. Really quite a delightful wine, and I'm very glad to be sharing it with you this evening. Well, for me in the morning, for you.
There's no doubt, like if you look at Barossa Cabernet, say compared to some of the other regions in Australia, like Barossa Cabernet can be quite generous, but it doesn't really have those astringent tannins that sometimes cool climate Cabernet can have. And it just makes it an easier wine to drink on release, and also if you have the patience to cellar it.
I find it more defined than McLaren Vale as well. I find it like quite laser focused as Cabernets go. This is really quite special. Thank you for sharing it. This is wonderful.
You're very welcome.
It's a very special wine for us.
Now, in closing, one thing I would like to talk about is the fact that Elderton is a decidedly family affair, always has been, and as you mentioned, the next generation coming into. Did you say the third generation destroy the company?
Hopefully not.
But tell us how that works in real life. I mean, two brothers working together, of course, but how does it involve the rest of the family?
So it's always been a family affair. We're very proud. We've never taken any outside money. We've grown organically over the years. And for Mum and Dad, I mean, Mum is a superstar, and she's very, very quickly and aptly sort of said, "Listen, I've educated you. I trust you. I've done it for you." And she, when Cam came home, basically gave us the keys. Now into the next generation, there's obviously 6 kids, and I have three daughters, as I said earlier, and Cam has 3 sons. It's a similar process, and Cam and I have been working our absolute backsides off over the last, especially 10 to 15 years, to build an asset base and build a company that, if all 6 are talented and all 6 want to come back into the family business, there's probably space for them, which is something we'd be really proud of. Who knows? So my eldest just finished high school 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so it goes from 17 down to 10 years old between the 6 kids. They're all really close. But yeah, the future's exciting.
Superb. Cameron and Allister, thank you so much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today. Hopefully you'll be in Ontario at some point in the future, and we can actually have one of your wines, share some of your wine in person.
We'd love that.
We love Toronto.
Oh, right. Okay. Good. All right. Well, I'll look forward to that. I'll get Alex at Dionysus to give me a buzz when you're in town. Thanks so much, and cheers for the wine and the chatter. We'll speak soon again, I hope. Bye for now.
Thanks
so much. Cheers.
Take care.